Welcome back to Radio Entrepreneurs. I'm Jonathan Freedman, and our next guest, Stanley Rameau, founder and CEO of Renavest. Welcome back to Radio Entrepreneurs. And
Thank you, Jonathan, for having me back. I'm super excited to be here this morning.
no, it's a pleasure. We love entrepreneurs at Radio Entrepreneurs, of course, as the name says, but we love people that come back and want to update their story and tell us what's going on. You've had I'm sure not to use the term too crazily, but a wild ride. Tell us,
Yes.
our listeners, for context, a little bit about what Renovest does, and maybe a little bit of the backstory of where you saw the need in the marketplace, and then we'll jump into fast forward and what's going on today.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, Jonathan, thank you for having me back. I think the last time I was on was Boston Startup Week back in 2023, and it was a completely different idea at the time. It was more of a social media app aggregating financial influencers. And then we started once we released our app because that was the whole idea was to try to get some traction leading up to our app launch in January 2024, and we was able to accumulate a good amount of users, up to I think around 600 closed beta users. And when we kept interviewing them, their biggest need was we don't know where we need to start with our financial wellness. We're stressed out about our finances. We just kind of want to have one-on-one conversations, and it was a kind of different experience that I was presenting on our platform, and it was really interesting. I ended up coming across financial therapy just because as we were aggregating our different financial influencers that we wanted to bring into the community for our users to connect and connect with their community, I met a couple of financial therapists and was just fascinated that this was even a space. And so what financial therapy is a merging of financial planning and therapeutic practices. So when we really talk about what's our relationship with money, it's that feeling and that relationship that we kind of keep to ourselves where we're like stressed out about our finances, we're maybe avoidant of looking at our bills, shameful, it could be trauma related, and taken in consideration just different demographics, backgrounds, economic situations. Everyone has their own different relationship with money, and 90% of financial decisions are emotionally driven. So, I wanted to connect what the need of our users were, and it just made sense from an aha moment to connect them with financial therapists.
It's fascinating that's the case. Financial literacy or financial wellness, in some respects, seems to still be somewhat in the closet, a taboo
Hmm.
subject.
Yeah.
And it's interesting. I know that your target, or at least historical target, has been more millennials and Gen Z, if I'm not mistaken. And
Hmm.
it seems an old guy with white hair that comes to me as so much is so open with this generation. They talk about
Right.
almost anything. Have you also
Exactly.
found that people were holding the financial shame, if you will, or financial
Mm.
anxiety in? And so, having that opportunity to have people who deal with the emotional and the whole side, the therapeutic side of dealing with your
Right.
money, both the good and the bad,
Right.
just a
Exactly.
great need for it.
Yeah, and that's a good point. Like, we are afraid to talk about our finances because we may have shame in regards to it. And so when we present our situation out in the open and publicly, it gives other individuals an opportunity to judge. And especially in this society where social media is a huge factor, everyone looks like they're doing well, especially when you think about millennials and Gen Z, and everyone on social media looks successful when typically, often, they're trying to just figure out how to make ends meet. um, and
As I
so
say, people don't post the crap in their lives.
exactly, no, exactly. No one wants to do that, right? We just want to, show
Right.
what we present, we think is looks good. And then that leads to making, negative and bad choices with our finances just because we want to present an image that, may typically not be our everyday lives. And so yeah, it's very interesting, especially when you think about just regular therapy and how that's become more embracive for everyone, and it's become a lot more popular, and mental health has become a lot more embraced as well. And so really financial therapy is just therapy for your finances. A therapist may not have the finance background to really talk about particular finances and the details that, say, a divorced couple is having. Divorce is, number one, finances is number one to issues in divorce. I'm not married yet, so hopefully I don't have to deal with that particular reason. And I'm building this app, and hopefully I avoid that. But when you think about situations like that, and so really what we wanted to present it to be in our brand is a safe space for individuals to have these conversations with our financial therapists. And we also bring on financial planners and coaches who have a holistic point of view, who can eventually become financial therapists as well. So
So walk us through a little bit, if you will, the journey, if you will, when somebody engages with Renavest. They come in, they're matched up with is there an intake process? Tell us a little bit about how the process rolls out and
yeah.
what the typical, if you will, sort of path along the engagement looks like.
Yeah, absolutely. And then the thing is, like, financial therapy, it sounds like a cool two-word phrase, but this is a space that has been, provided a credibility. These are individuals who are able to get certified with a financial therapist license, so a CFT license, and through a nonprofit called the Financial Therapy Association. And so a lot of individuals just haven't heard of financial therapy in its particular, but the association was founded in 2010. And so there is education in which individuals can be able to, do their process. They kind of vet the background, whether you have a finance or therapy background from education or university.
So the practitioners, sorry, Stanley, the practitioners are coming from either side. They could have been therapists, traditional therapists,
Yeah,
and they are taking a financial focus, or they could have been financial planners and they're taking a therapeutic approach. Is that typically
yeah,
what you see?
exactly. And yep, and then when they get the certification from the association, they give a whole perspective of both sides, right? And then you have to take a test to get certified. Some individuals just practice financial therapy and they're maybe in the process of getting certified or whole nine. But this is like a real space, just like, you would have a license as a financial advisor and so forth. And
Mhm.
so kind of like again, how I came, across was, meeting the different financial therapists and realizing that there was this association, here, and ended up connecting with them and understanding, their stories and the value that we could be able to provide for one another. And so now we're, instead of going a direct to consumer priority standpoint, now we want to be able to provide this for companies and get in front of HR teams so they can be able to provide it for their employees. So the user experience of an individual is pretty simple. They'll come onto our website, renovestapp.com. And then once we, close contracts with companies and being able to, get individuals onboarded, now their employees will be able to put in their company email. And we're also creating a SaaS tool where, similar to kind of think about Rocket Money, all right, we want to be able to provide personalized, data insights and feedback for each employee, where we can create an accountability partner where we track their behavioral spending. We connect it with what their financial goals are. We also connect it with what stresses them out about their finances, and then be able to, feed that data where we can be able to provide that personalized data insights. And then when we see based off their spending, obviously with their approval, then we can be like, hey, we see that you have a goal to purchase a house, or where that you're saving for your wedding, but based off of your spending behaviors, we're kind of off track here. How about you meet a financial therapist, and just leading them, to the water to connect with a financial therapist on our platform. So it is part of it. We match them with a financial therapist, or if it's more focused on the execution side and a financial planner that best fits for them. But then we also provide them our marketplace of financial therapists and coaches where they can pick and choose and select who they want to work with.
So you guys are potentially the bearer of bad news when you say if you want to buy a home at your current pace, you're going to buy a home when you're 475 years old. It doesn't work. You've got to bring
Very
something in
bad
line.
news, or we help them get to the
Get to the
resolution
place
of
to
their
make good
problem,
decisions.
get them to the place to make
Absolutely.
decisions before it gets bad. So we're just giving them positive affirmations of what's necessary. Because again, the avoidance part, right? Oftentimes, and we've all been there. Like, let's spend this money, we'll deal about it later, or I don't want to look at what I spent this weekend on Monday type of situation, right?
Yeah, it's so fascinating. And again, as I said earlier, I think it's such a a lot of people hold it so close to the vest and don't want to share their financial situations. And then, I think like anything in life, you share a little bit with a friend or with a colleague or somebody that you know, and you go, oh, well, they have the same experiences, they have similar
Right.
experiences, and you
Exactly.
realize, well, we're all human and all within a certain construct. It's like everybody experiences the same things, but certain things people won't talk about.
Right.
And
Exactly.
so. So important, Stanley, what you're doing. I think, as we've talked about with other guests, and I'm sure you would agree with this, our educational system does such a lousy job of preparing us for financial
Hmm.
literacy in
Right.
our lives. So few people take a class in how do you balance a checkbook.
Hmm.
Today's generation, what is a check? How do
Right.
I send payment if it's not from my phone? Those
Right.
types
Right.
of things that are so basic, but really getting people towards their path towards life goals and
Yeah.
making sure
And you can
they have
imagine, like,
independence and success and things of that nature. So,
yeah, and you can imagine that, these conversations may not happen in the household, right? So even when we're interviewing our consumers and giving them a demo and they're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this wasn't a thing already before. It feels like financial therapy should have already been here. And so, oftentimes we hear that I just don't talk about money in my household. And that's can be a situation where you've come from money or you haven't come from money, sometimes and so forth. So when it comes to a situation where, if your parents especially when we talk about financial literacy. And a big part of why I wanted to start Renavest was because my parents immigrated from Haiti, and so working hard was taught, but again, financial literacy came more later in the years. And how can we be able to start having everyday individuals join in on these conversations every day? And a part of it is a shame to want to join in on those conversations, right? And so again, root cause issue, right? Why am I not talking about my finances? Why do I want to join in on these conversations and talk to someone else and find out that they're dealing with the same issue and they're trying to figure out, solutions, for this. So
no, I love it, Stanley, and the fact that you've taken your business and pivoted based on what the marketplace is telling you,
yeah.
fantastic. T Tell us a little bit about the model. It's a subscription-based model. I know you talked about looking at corporations and having corporations open it up
Hmm.
to their employees. But if I, as an individual, wanted to engage with Renovest and join, is it a subscription-based model? How does that come about?
Yeah, talk about the different ways that we're looking at it. And, we're very excited where on our product, we don't need to build any more to put it out into the product, which is put it into the market. So we're super excited. So we're selling 100% of it, right now, starting literally this week. So it's kind of perfect timing, but, it caught me at launch. So, for companies, we're allowing companies to be able to provide a credit for each of their employees on an annual basis where now that employee can come to our marketplace and pick what financial therapist they want to spend the money that their provides for them. And if at any point they want to request more credit and sessions, then we can be able to do that, and then we just take a transaction fee from an hourly basis. Because we are going a transaction fee from a B2B or B2B to C model, we are going to open it up to consumers as well, where you can be able to sign up through as an individual, and then if you want to connect with a financial therapist that makes sense for you, and then you can be able to meet with them on a hourly basis and pay whatever that hourly fee is. Financial therapy is not covered through insurance like regular therapy is, so that's part of our long-term goals is to how to get financial therapy, because when you think about stresses with your finances, you think about mental health, you think about how it impacts you from a physical standpoint. So this is something that shouldn't be covered through insurance. But small market going to make it bigger, and that will be a huge value and benefit for everyday individuals to be able to easily connect with a financial therapist and not have to feel the burden of I have to pay money to heal my relationship with money. That's kind of can be difficult to wrap your mind around. But when you're investing in yourself, and I like to use messaging a lot when it comes to things that I'm building. And when it comes to Renaissance, it's the rebirth of investment, and I think that starts with investing in yourself and your relationship with money. And so that's kind of the idea that everyone should look at it.
Fantastic and really important stuff, especially in these times of high volatility and concern. And I would think if you
Oh
asked,
yeah.
no matter what survey you do of the population, probably across the world, financial stress is high up on the list.
Yep.
If not a top three, then certainly a top five in most demographics, irrespective of where people fall. So I think it's great what you
Right.
guys are doing. Stanley Rameau, founder and CEO of Renavest. If people want to get in touch, either corporations, find out more about your program, or individuals, what's the best way for them to reach out to you?
Yeah, absolutely. Stanley at renovestapp.com, or they can go on renovestapp.com and then connect with us. With companies, we're happy to do, demos, have a conversation and take it from there. And as an individual, again, you can be able to meet our financial therapist directly through our website as well. So renovestapp.com. And I'm very active in the startup ecosystem. Definitely have to shout out A to C Boston, which is a social impact venture for underrepresented founders that want to build tech companies in Boston. So one of the co-founders there. We I think before this call we talked about how Boston's startup ecosystem is small but big, so yeah, it shouldn't be too hard to find me.
Fantastic, and you're a great player. And I know Stanley, as we talked about, I've run into you at some events out there, and so great to
Absolutely,
see you again. Wonderful having you
always.
on Radio Entrepreneurs. Wish you great success with the launch, and we'll have to have you back again to hear another update.
I know. We just talk about us growing and scaling. So hopefully that's what
Sound,
we're having a conversation about.
Sounds good. Wishing you continued success. Our guest has been Stanley Rameau, sorry, founder and CEO of Renavest. It's been a pleasure having you on Radio Entrepreneurs.
Thank you, Jonathan. Pleasure. Have a great day.
Thank you. We'll be right back with another segment on Radio Entrepreneurs.